Hello. So I know that on the schedule for history, it says that you were supposed to do the Treaty of Paris yesterday, but instead I had the video questions instead, and you should have written something about a woman who worked in the Revolution. But today we are going to kind of backtrack and do the Treaty of Paris. So watch this video for information about that. So after their defeat in Yorktown, the British were feeling pretty burnt out, just done. They were not really wanting to fight anymore. They were feeling really down on themselves, and they were finally just ready to surrender. So by the time that the war ended, the British were against not only the American colonists, but they were also against Spain, and they were also against France. Remember, those two countries were helping America during this time. So they're like, there's no way we're going to win. Let's just surrender now. And all of these countries met up in Paris, France, to discuss a treaty or a way to kind of resolve all of this conflict together. So while they were meeting in Paris, Great Britain and America were still fighting. They were still having smaller battles after Yorktown because Britain still had control of some territory in America. But in September of 1783, the war between America and Great Britain stopped, and Britain finally told the Americans that they were an independent nation, meaning they were free from the control of the British king. And Great Britain also had to give up most of their land in America and gave the new country a huge amount of land. This included the territory, everything that was east of the Mississippi River, south of Canada and the Great Lakes, up north in northern America, and north of Florida. This area included land that the British had promised to American Indians. So the British kept control of their lands in Canada, but everything that they had in modern-day America, all of the land that they owned during that time, including the 13 colonies. Now, I don't want you to have this idea that all of the United States of America belonged to the American colonists yet. Everything kind of, like California wasn't in the picture yet. Everything, you can just split America in half. Everything east of the eastern half of America basically belonged to the American colonists other than Florida. So, yes, Britain just kept their land in Canada, but everything else belonged to the Americans. Now, during this time, the American colonists took a lot of stuff away from the Loyalists. If you remember, Loyalists were people who lived in America but supported the king. They still liked being under the king. They disagreed with becoming an independent nation. And the war was in the American colonies, and so the people, the patriots, kind of took things away from the loyalists during the war. And part of the deal in the Treaty of Paris was that the American colonists were supposed to give back everything that belonged to the loyalists. Like if they took over their house, if they took their belongings, everything that they took was supposed to be restored back to the loyalists. However, the Americans didn't really keep their side of the contract, and so the loyalists felt like their safety was at harm after the American colonists became an independent nation. And so a lot of them moved to Great Britain, moved to Canada and other places because they just didn't feel like they belonged anymore. They felt like they had enemies because they didn't support the Patriots. They supported the Loyalists. So the Patriots won the war, and America is finally its own nation. And we're done with this unit on the American Revolution. The next time we come back next week, we're going to be talking about how America, as a new nation, created its own government. Because remember, before this war, Britain was doing everything. Britain was the government for Americans. And so what are the Americans going to do now that Britain isn't over them anymore and they have no government? watch what happens next. Bye. Oh, before I forget, there is a paper titled The Treaty of Paris that you should be filling out if you did not get it. I'm going to read out the questions, and you can either write it down on a piece of paper or type it up on a Google Doc. So it is number 1. How did the British feel after the Battle of Yorktown? How did the British feel after the Battle of Yorktown? Number 2. Where did the countries meet to work out an agreement? Where did the countries meet to work out an agreement? Number 3. What is a treaty? Number 4. What did the Treaty of Paris say? Meaning, what did it give the Americans? And then number 5. How did the Americans break their promise to the Loyalists living in America? Okay, have a good day. Bye.